and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video message with me here today. And I will be further moving into the topic of our new body and surrender and all that actually is required of us on this path. So there's a lot to talk about here actually. And I'm sitting here after a wave of energy which entered again. And I have to tell you, this new body thing requires of us to be very adaptable, to be very much adjusting to how our bodies want us to move the energy. And I've been sharing with you that October is all about moving energy. So there's a fine line of finding this balance when, for me, I had this example today. I'm learning about it still, it still is a part of my tantric path, is to really embrace how to integrate and anchor these energy waves so that the optimum level of receptivity and flow can be anchored and achieved in the body state. So what I'm noticing is, first of all, I'm not a kind of being that can just go for one type of exercise or routine. Our bodies, our new body template does not want routine, okay? What I've learned also is, when I notice these cycles, is the body will tell you when it wants to rest, and then usually after a period of rest, we're used as human beings, when we're sick or having an illness or something, when experiencing illness, I'm going to say rather, is we usually are prone to kind of like stay in that energy, and then we require a lot of energy to move out of bed or whatever kind of our resting method is at that time. But in this new body template, sometimes we just required a specific amount of time at this downtime for integration, and then the body will say, now, okay, now is the time. You will get a green light, or get a signal, which will tell you, now move the energy, now make me stronger. So there's going to be this spirit of integration between intense rest and intense moving of energy, which can seem rather like, what the heck, because people won't always understand this. Because usually when you feel a little down under the weather, people will say, well, how can you then, exercise or do this and that? We are usually not thinking of these things, that they're actually stimulating the flow of energy in our body and the flow of our kundalini, which needs to flow. Otherwise it gets stuck. We're going to have aches in the body, like jolts of pain and things like that. Especially I experience it sometimes in the lower back area. I have, where these nerve points are, when the nerves intersect the left and the right column. And of course, you can learn all about that in the yogic traditions, and also in my Life Force Mastery program, which is a course online you can take to get really down into this specific training mode. So I've really noticed today how the body is responding differently, and I want to read you first the message, and then I will share with you a deeper template for this work that Spirit has presented to me. So today, this channeling message came through as I was in the spontaneous flow, and I want to read it. For all those who maybe just watch videos, they don't follow my posts on Instagram, or tune into my blog, where this is eventually gathered and shared as information of light to help you on your path of physical ascension. So again, I want to say, for those of you who are maybe new, that the physical ascension is not the same as either mental ascension, it's not an astral ascension, it's not a third eye ascension, it's not even just the heart ascension. It is an integrated or an integral experience, where these three main vortices that are built, they're being newly integrated in the human body templates, which are called the crown, the heart, and the root portals. So these are activated, and I teach this in my Cosmic Union course, and progressing much further from this wisdom, which was in my case experiential, and then practice, and then put into all that I share, all my work that is beyond just this, what I share freely for all in this YouTube channel, but goes beyond and goes much deeper into my teachings, or people who maybe work privately with me in their sessions. So this is the message coming through. We are still moving through quite intense times, riding the waves of new energy. This energetic change is the cause of many foundational changes that are taking place in our lives and occur deep in the body. We are creating new body templates, which is a lifelong process, and any being who commits to this path will definitely undergo tremendous body changes in their embodiment, including the experience of constant death and rebirth. You know how many deaths I've died in this life. You don't even know. I don't even know. So when aspects of the old energy makeup or foundation die, so do our cellular memories. So people don't even usually consider that this is a cellular thing. So it's not just, okay, new energy comes, I got to integrate it. This is a much deeper process, which when we're going to look deep, when we're going to be silent in our meditation, we're going to create space for stillness, we're going to get these answers through reflection. And this is usually what I do. I'm not just like, oh, you know, this energy is coming in for me, what was me, because I do get run over as well. But I take the time, I listen to my body, I listen to the synthesis of the mind, the heart, and the root. What they're telling me, how I can synthesize this approach for the embodied wisdom. Okay, so this means that our cells are undergoing an intense rebuilding process, which uses a lot of our vital life force that usually goes into regular body maintenance processes. So I've shared about this in the previous video when I've talked about life force, vital energy, and the ascension symptoms that relate with that, and how our bodies are basically building the new template, and what are some of the symptoms as a part of that investment of the energy that goes into this process, which is a gradual process. So this can cause the exhaustion experience, which we will notice taking place in our bodies as a gradual process, which occurs in waves. So each new energy wave kind of corresponds to our own inner dynamics of building the ascension platform. Where did I leave? Okay. So when this happens in each wave, the cellular dynamics within our new bodies will undergo a new level of soul alchemy and change profoundly from the core level up and from inside out as it is blossoming. As the new humans in the making, we have the capacity for this alchemical alteration, and we are also paving the way for others by holding energy for it. This change is becoming the new norm for us, and although it's quite difficult for our bodies, we're also adjusting to it by adapting to the new body functions and adopting new waves of energy maintenance. That's why we need to build new energetic pathways in the body, and this occurs within our nervous system first, which is the precipitation through our column of light. When you start to work more consciously with the white column of light, your synthesis for the ascension pathways to clear the way for any of the residual stuff, basically, that kind of will prevent you to integrate the energies effortlessly and with flow with each new writing wave. And then it goes through the chakric system in a unified manner, and then it moves through the nervous system, and then it becomes much more integrated, and it moves through the cells. That's where we can get very emotional also during this process, because the cells and the cellular memory does correspond, okay, with our emotional triggers and responses. But as new humans, we're basically learning to not react from our emotions, but to feel them, just be moving from the emotional states to the higher density feeling states. Okay, this is our deeper nature. Okay, we're moving into that template. So that's what we need, okay, to build new energetic pathways, as I've said, in the body for a new level of body sustenance. It doesn't come lightly and on its own. As you know, it's quite a process, those of you who are undergoing this. It's being done through our consciousness infusion and body integration as one. We participate by allowing flow in our bodies and generating a new way of creating beyond control and resistance. For a while, we may also feel completely vulnerable and new in our bodies, and this is especially taking place now in the Venus retrograde, because it is happening in Scorpio. And personally, also, I'm noticing a lot of this, just release all control, be vulnerable, and I've shared this in the Venus retrograde update already. We participate, right, by allowing flow in our bodies and generating a new way of creating beyond control and resistance. Again, for a while we may feel completely vulnerable, and it is temporary, and it's also necessary to create full allowance and therefore living and operating fully from our new body template. For now, it's still kind of like shifting, right? We might feel like we're jumping dimensions sometimes. We're more feeding into the matrix of the 3D to dissolved, and at times we're more in the higher upper dimensional states, but actually in a multidimensional perspective, which is the core perspective, where we are already, in terms of illumination, we're there. This is our eternal being, and spirit infuses us through our soul, which soul, as you know, represents the experiences. The spirit is that the non-moving aspect, as the source self, is the pure potential source. Moving into the soul experience makes that potentiality real, and us as humans, which is like the downgraded experience of what we can create, how creation can manifest through us, is like we are the living embodiment of that experience that the soul creates at the higher level. So when this happens, right, we're operating from this new body template, and it's sometimes we're more congruent with it and sometimes a little less. And the less we resist this organic process, the more everything will flow naturally through us. Okay, this is the first thing I want to mention. Let me see what else I want to talk about here, because there's quite a lot of things. So the first thing Spirit is addressing is we're at this time for us to be more in the new body template, because like I said, we can be like time jumpers now, like time shifters. Sometimes we feel amazing and we have so much energy because we're already in our new bodies. We're using it more. Sometimes we're like testing it out and then we move back because there's still some density to, you know, as you know, disintegrate. In a more the denser level where we also reside, because it is a multidimensional simultaneous process, and yet from a linear perspective it feels like a gradual process in terms of how we integrate this in waves. So a waveform is the new way for us as human beings to feel this process. Because of that, feeling the waveform, we're feeling more as feeling beings, not just like mental beings, because the mental template used a lot of energy to control in order to maintain our physical form, because fear is not just installed as you know, artificially in the human experience, like, oh, you know, it was a controlled process with the hybrid humans, you know, the downgrade of the human DNA, only 2.0 experience, which is like 2 strands of DNA manipulated, right, the control human. But also in a way, because creation always moves into something new, this unknown component can feel like very stressful for people. That's why a lot of souls now are not willing to make the jump, because at a higher level, they know how much energy goes into this process, how much input, how much devotion. So they're kind of like holding, and it's like to this, right? Once you surrender it, you basically jump. And there is no like half surrender, you either jump or you don't. So for us to surrender control, like I said, the mind operational system required a lot of energy at that level to be sustained. That's why even the experience of humanity kind of like not just revealed that, yeah, but it reflected that to us, these patriarchal systems to keep the control and the power and all of that. But this power play, as you know, because it's all brought back to the self, continue to play within us. Okay, so now we're still talking about the polarized divine masculine, divine feminine, all about this. This embodiment process is directly correlated with the spiritual alchemy, which is divine union. It is the hieros gamos. It is the sacred spiritual marriage within you first. So for us to really move into this alchemical process, and this is the Venus retrograde now movement that so much participates in this. It's so dynamic in a way. Those of us who are moving with the energy and flow and we're not resisting as much, we all resist maybe a little, right? We're not perfect. I'm saying is those who resist less are going to experience faster shifts in their body. This means even when you have a downfall kind of a feeling, like sometimes I have, and I've experienced this year more than ever before, because the body signal gives you the signal much faster than before. Okay, before sometimes you went against your body, it was already too late, you already got sick or something. Now the body is signaling us much faster into what it, you know, what it requires, or how it's feeling like, if you jump across the edge, I'm not going to feel good. So really pay attention. So for me, the body is signaling me through, signaling to me through my throat. And I had a few experiences this year, a few of them, when I was like at the verge. And I know now this throat area is kind of like my, what do you say, the indicator point, right? A point of indication. It's like showing me, oh, I'm like at the verge now, you know, I have to rest, I have to retreat. Because what I will notice is the fusion, right? The integration process is when you find yourself in this intersecting point of feeling your new body template is like really always like infinite energy reservoir, and then the old body, which sometimes still feels density. I'll tell you in a practical explanation how this feels for me is, I had this yesterday, okay? I was deeply tired because for the weekend when this energy shift occurred, on Saturday I was releasing like crazy. On Sunday, I was already like, whoo, wow, amazing. Woo, I went to the lake. I was rowing at the lake, and I don't row, okay? Row the boat. Just sometimes, a couple of times a year. And I did it like for 3 hours without a break. I had so much energy. I was like in an elevated state. And the reason why there was so much energy that I could do it in such a flowy way, it's like I was floating on water. That's how it felt. And I knew, because the day before I just had this vision, oh, I need to go to the lake, but on the boat this time, okay? And it was different than before because I didn't actually row. I just became that energy. I was so much in flow that I used much less energy than people who usually row the boat. So the only way that was annoying is because I got a little, you know, these, what do you call them in English? I don't know. It's like, you know, the skin hardens. Blisters is what you put on it. I don't know. Anyway, the thing is, I felt so energized. There was so much energy. The whole day felt like amazing. And I was looking at nature. I didn't even think about rowing because, as you know, the mind can control things and it uses a lot of energy for that. So even when the mind still participates with you moving the body in either way, you know, like very intense sport or athletic people, they use still a lot of mind in their body. They don't just use the body. So it does kind of deplete and it tires the cells. You know, people think, well, you have so much exercise, it means you're going to stay youthful. Not really, okay? A lot of these exercising kind of techniques or ways that are still using a lot of control and willpower, they also deteriorate the body at a certain rate. So for us to move into this new template, right, like I explained to you, my experience with rowing the boat, it was like I didn't feel any tiredness in the body. You know, I barely could feel like any muscle pain or aches the next day. And it was kind of experience, right? I don't usually use my hands so much. I'm more of a hiker and runner and to that extent. But they were showing me, this is how the flow feels. Do you feel how you can create with so much more energy when you're not using so much of your energy, which is your vital life force, to sustain this controlling template? So our guidance now is to surrender this control so that the new body can really come into its natural maintenance. Because what we do now, we're a little in the new body, kind of, then we slide out of it and we're like, oh, okay, then we're tired and we have lots of energy again and we're feeling hyper. Most of the people are now in the shifting phase. I don't think any of us is now fully in the new body. But the reason why I'm sharing this is to make you aware how much this is a transfiguration process that occurs at the cellular level. This is not just a mental process, not just an emotional process. This is the process that goes through the body itself. So that's why usually when the first jolt of energy will hit, right, we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it in a way like electric sensation. It will feel amazing. But then again, right, our bodies, like I always tell you, will need to create the proper magnetism or magnetic nature to sustain this flow of electricity. Because before, when we were in this older body template, we were more electric, which, as you know, our technology even it kind of resembles that, or again reflects that. Recently I heard this channeling from Cassandra, the group shared through Susan Ashley. And there was a very short video with a few questions and answers, and they shared something about this exactly, that why we use electricity on our planet and the way our technology is built basically reflects our inner way of being, okay? We were basically more electric. Now we're becoming more magnetic. It doesn't mean now we're becoming just magnetic. This doesn't work. But the way technology is being brought to the surface and these discoveries happening does reflect the nature of how much we expand in our consciousness and how we maintain ourselves as human beings. This is a state of our evolution that will always reflect where the consciousness will lead in terms of technological applications of that consciousness. So becoming more magnetic means establishing flow, because magnetism is the pure spiraling movement. And this is why I shared with you, it's important to rest and then, when am I guided to move the energy? Because I have this practice of, I know where I need to rest, and then I need to intuitively feel, because I'm so multiversal in that way, which type would feed me right now. Sometimes it's running, sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's tantric dancing, sometimes it's a different kind of dancing, more like jumpy, right? Skippy. And sometimes it's like, sorry, I made myself laugh because it's just silly, the way I use words sometimes, but never mind. But today, I really felt, after that, staying in bed until noon, because I literally couldn't get up, it was that intense. And then I just allow myself that rest, and then I feel that voice when it says, enough. Now, enough is enough. Now, let's get me stronger. And then the body will lead you, will guide you through that process. If you're silent within yourself, if you don't jump to conclusions, I need to do this, but I have to do this and that. The new body does not want routine. It wants you to approach it organically. It wants you to move with the flow in terms of what wants to be created through you in this moment. And this only way we can achieve that, if that's even the right word, the only way we can truly experience that is through surrender. It's allowance. So for me, it was like today the body wanted to have exercise, which was more like Pilates, but was my own version. It was like very spontaneous exercises, because my inner child the way I am, my inner being is like it always wants to create its own techniques, exercises, anything, because it wants to be self-developed, it wants to be self-discovered, because that way it contributes to the creative process and the creational experience, instead of like repeating after something or someone else, or repeating a technique. So this is all shared in my courses, all about life force mastery and maintenance, because it's not just oh, I mastered this and that. This is not mental, okay? You can master it here, but you got to use the right application. You have to really know where you are in the body, okay? Like I said, no one is already, it's like, okay, I'm pulling the new body template, especially the new agers who are only moving up. Okay, a lot of these people, they have not even begin to grasp how much energy is necessary and required for this process of building this new body template. Those of you who are doing that organically, maybe you're not even aware of it, but a lot of times people will experience this lack of enthusiasm or passion for something they're currently engaged with, and they think it's something wrong with them. And even I've used the term a lot of times, which is I've lost my mojo. And today a sister of mine said, oh, I felt like I've lost my mojo recently for maybe a week or so, or a little more. And I said, yeah, that's this Venus retrograde state, because it's pulling up these aspects that also want to be and exist with us as one, in wholeness and totality of our unity consciousness. They want to exist in that wholeness, in the light. They don't want to be stuck somewhere and suppressed feelings and habitual patterns and reactive emotions that come from these habitual patterns. And it's like not just reframing them, it's like restructuring them through application of wholeness. Okay, not like saying this pattern was wrong, or when I did this in a routine way it was wrong. It wasn't wrong, okay? It's just like you're now expanding. The next thing I want to mention is that all this that's coming through, the light, the next message they gave me, it's that because, as you know, they're blocking the sun so much, it's just happening now. I'm looking right in front of the sky, which is, you know, I call them the sheep clouds. They look like a little fluffy, but they're artificial. You can see them, and usually when these new waves happen, they do it like intensely. It's like you can't even see the sky. One of the recent examples I can give you, I had these mountain plans, right? I wanted to go to this mountain, and it was amazing weather forecast for this week. It changed drastically overnight. That was right after me being at the lake and rowing, which was amazing energy. And after that energy, the next day we have this hit, this bombardment of fake weather. And it's like, what? When was rain in the forecast? It's like, it didn't feel natural, even in the body. Ask your body, it will tell you. You don't even have to look in the mental spheres for the proof or whatever kind of convictions you're looking for. Just tune into your body. Those of you who have fully open bodies and flow, you will recognize. You will feel in the body when the weather is natural and when it's fake, because the body will feel uplifted when the weather patterns are natural, and when they're not, the body's going to feel like, oh, like a ton of weight is going and moving through it. A lot of people don't know that. That's a funny thing, but they really don't. They think, oh, the heavy weather, cloudy weather is heavy weather. Not all cloudy weather. When it's natural cloudiness, it's not necessarily heavy. It's just a part of the natural pressure evening out, as you know, moving through the planet. It's like everything, the weather, technology, everything on our planet can be explained from within. So when you live a yogic life, doesn't mean you do tons of yoga. It means you live in a yogic state of union and silence and peace and meditation that's integrated meditation, and lots of time in nature. You will feel everything. You will just know what you know, because it will come to you through the principle of source guidance within you. You're not looking for an external hierarchy to prove that to you, or a master or guru you follow, but everything can be found within you, because ultimately you are source, you are spirit itself. So surrendering control in the new body to create this level. And the message that came through, I was coming up to that with this, right? Because they're blocking the sunlight so much and we need to receive it. Those of us doing the energy work, they've recently shown me that for us, it's okay if you have done this higher mastery. It means like your auric field is expanded, which means you're not just feeling at this kind of like, I'm not going to say lower, but near to the physical body kind of auric receptivity. You're feeling at the higher level. So as you know, let's say there's a solar flare. Those of us who have all of these higher bodies activated, we will feel the solar flare as it happens, not when it hits the Earth's stratosphere, atmosphere, so on and so forth. The physical experience of Earth as well. That's the last degree of that, okay, that circumstance, whatever. So what is interesting, they've shown me that when you have this higher level of auric bodies that expand outwards and they become more and more cosmic, let's just call it like that, when these are open, we will feel, which means we're going to receive even before it comes on the planet physically. It's like the light, you know how much it needs to travel so we can see it. So when you're looking at the star, you're looking at this like far back, right, before the light hits our planet and our visual eye. So, but we are not really visual beings only. We're feeling energy because we're light beings at the highest level, and light creates an experience and learns about it experience through energy embodiment, energy mastery, energy maintenance, right? So we have spirit, eternal presence, soul. It creates the experience, and then the aspect that is the physicality itself is the experience of that creation born in itself. Okay, so this means that it's important for you to work with these higher bodies, to have your light body open, because once you do, your ascension will be direct. It will be without these phases and stages, so that it only can come through the physical level. So what I'm saying is, what they've shown me is that even when sometimes I say, oh, you know, they're blocking the sun, but I'm supposed to, you know, these energy waves come, I need to be aligned with that. They said, no problem, because you've already received it. So that's what we sometimes will feel. We've had that experience in advance before these things happen. So we have this surge, this jolting experience, and I had it on Sunday. On Monday at night, I think they started already influencing the weather artificially, because I felt it and I couldn't sleep. It was terrible. So this is one thing they were showing me in order to provide yourself with everything you need, because we're always going into the judgment mode. Oh, look what they're doing, look what they're, you know, at some extent it's allowed. Okay, that's what I was shown, because most of the humans do not operate at such a high level of receptivity yet, and literally these cosmic ray influences and strong solar energies, because the sun is ascending in itself, would cause maybe much more damage than, you know, with this way, through these intermediaries in these blockages that are being created. So it's partially, there's a reason why it is allowed at the higher level, but it's not allowed to, you know, block as much that is required for the evolution of humanity. So there's a whole bigger story that we don't always see as humans. We see a narrow perspective, and this is why I share these messages with you, so that you can increase your awareness and expand your multidimensional perception, and know that there is a reason behind everything and anything. Let me see if, sorry, there's some mosquitoes or something. There's a lot of birds flying here. And there's like a dragon behind the mountains there. You only see me, I'm sorry about that. But there's lots happening always in the skies. So yeah, the new body, this is what I need to talk about. I've talked about being more magnetic, so that the electricity can be received at the higher level than it used to be. But unity, right? I want to talk about this creating through unity principle, because we have people talking about the mind kind of creation, which is the art of the secret, right? The law of attraction, creating this way. And people talking about creating only through the heart. And in the book I've shown to you in the Ascension update for October, which is called Joshua Channelings, and it's from Pamela Cribb. And this book is amazing. I've only read the first part so far, which is this Lightworker series, which talks about the history behind the whole Lightworking group of people who come at this point, okay, through experience of the synthesis. Why, where's the history, how does it relate to our now? But they also explain a lot about how do we exist in this heart-based consciousness. So when they talk about the heart-based consciousness, what I feel is they don't talk about, okay, the heart is the only organ, tool, whatever, chakra. It's not like that. The heart does not experience itself in separation. So basically the heart is the point where unity consciousness, okay, is first felt, but there's levels of the heart that then continue to expand, okay? So it's like, imagine, it's more like reaching that first point of feeling the core, yourself at the core, and they're starting to create from there. But this is not like, oh, I'm only creating through my heart, like there's only the heart, my mind is not important anymore. The heart is the unifying, the synthesizing point. So it's not like either the mind template, either the heart template, but we're switching in a way, because like I said, we're building these new body platforms or templates, because before we were dreaming through the control of the mind, this lower will aspect. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just an experience, but it cannot create this optimum flow of potential, which is being the intermediaries between spirit and the soul. So it's not like, okay, the soul can get so lost in the darkness of duality, so it forgets its eternal connection to spirit. Or when you're just spirit, you're just static, okay? People who just want to move up and it's just spirit. They don't want the experience, they don't want to participate with life. I've shared this in my volunteer souls and the embodiment meditation for these beings in that video. I've talked about that. So these are extremes. In this heart-centered unity consciousness, what we create, how we create, because it has to move to our bodies, otherwise it's not grounded. It's not going to reap rewards. You're not going to experience abundance that flows through that template because you haven't created it through the body. It hasn't moved through the flow of the body. That's why the body work is so important now, so we can have all that experiences. So before, it was almost like the mind was okay, kind of like the main thing, okay? But now we want to make the mind not a servant, but the mind has its own function. And before, the mind took over all the functions, that basically each aspect of us has its own function when we function in unity consciousness. So before, the mind was like, imagine it running wild. So you have a computer program, which is fine in the beginning, but then it gets a virus and it gets out of control, and eventually it ruins your whole computer. Blank screen or blue screen, or what's it called, right? So this is kind of like it was, this blue screen. And now what we want to create is the template that is a composition, right? A divine symphony of all of your levels. So it's not like I move in the heart and I'm only in my heart all the time. You do use your mind as well. I've talked about this so many times, the integration of mind and heart. I've had thousands probably videos. Okay, this is overreacting though. Virus program. No, but I'm saying I have a lot of videos on this topic, so you can search and browse for that, because people don't always understand this true unity consciousness. So the heart, opening the heart, being in the feeling mode, becoming more magnetic, creates this platform where you can reside in the silence, in a silent retreat, which is not like you become absent from life, you become fully present with life. Because a lot of times people confuse silence with emptiness and with being absent from life. But in the new body template, you want to create fullness of life. So in the Tantric mission, which I share with you in my own path, is a giver of life. This is a mission where you bring the aspect of life revitalizing itself from within, from the core level. And you have to know what the core level is. You can get the core meditation, which was coming through in one of my sessions on my page, for very minimal energy exchange, and it's very beautiful because it helps you to feel this union state. So once you will feel it, you will see that eventually, if you experience something being created through that way, when you want to create the old way, it's almost like you will instantly see it. It's like, oh, it's not like it's wrong or bad. You can still do it. Like I said, you can jump to any experience you want, even when you have like fully blown a new body template built. But it's about, you don't want to, because you see it like it's separate from an aspect of itself as whole, experiencing in like itself not as in division, but it's participating with life in a much fuller, richer sense. It's almost like if you once had an it's an experiment of the experience, how it is to flow when there's like, let's say something was created in a group, physically, and then you wanted to do it alone, and you're like, well, this was such a greater symphony when we worked together in this cooperation. Now, translate this cooperation archetypally in a way that this is a participation with all these aspects of you that are multidimensional. So when you create through your feeling, it's like your heart will inform you of this desire. The spirit presence will be the higher guide for that. And then the mind, or you can call it the will aspect, will simply be sometimes used as this tool, how to get this in terms of, okay, let's just get the logistics out. But logistics is not where we start initially. So a lot of times people will say, well, it's only the spirit is your higher guide. Only listen to the spirit. The heart and the mind know what they want, but it's only spirit in the end. Well, yes, the spirit is that absolute, but the soul created the experience of diversity to know itself, to expand creation. That's why we're all here. Because we are always, a source is learning about the new, the aspect that hasn't yet been known and explored. That's the whole reason for existence. So we can't just negate either this or that. The problem are the extremes. So when, I'm sorry I didn't get the book today. I didn't bring it with me. Maybe next time I read you a paragraph from the book, because it's really amazing. I recommend it to everyone. It's a super amazing book, truly. Joshua Channelings from Pemley Crib. And you only know I advertise things or superimpose on things that I feel are really great, amazing things, tools for the Ascension pathway. they really beautifully explain this, that we're here to be the bridge between the spirit, right, and this human realm, so that we live in both worlds as one, the world of spirit, which is pure and the absolute, and the world of the soul, which is that abstract, right? It's like, ooh, it's like reality, which will also become individualized for a reason. So through our human experience, we're now learning this way of integration. So when people are saying, oh, I'm feeling a lack of passion, or I don't know how to create at the level where I used to create, or flow is gone and I'm doing things the same way, I haven't gone in the worst, right? It didn't fall anywhere, but why is it now, or manifestation stops, or stream of flow stops? And it's not all about the money, people, because I see so many times people talk about abundance as in equals money. Money is one aspect, okay? Yes, it's important you have your integrated income, so you are supported in everything you do and create from your soul template through your body template, which is being built through you. That's why it's important for you to build your resources on the planetary level, not just move somewhere up. But it's not just money. I've shared this before. Money is one aspect which you need, but you also need other things. Abundance is also the abundance of people maybe who will come and lend a hand and give you information you don't get to know yourself. And, you know, it's all in the mix. Like I said, the group experience, it all participates as one in life. That's how life is orchestrated through spirit, experienced at the soul level, which knows its spirit connection, and brought into our human form with full consciousness. So the beauty of our lives now as new humans is that we're consciously participating with that. So we haven't gone into the fall. We're not just in darkness. We're not just in the light. We are right in the middle, right where we need to be. So when people are losing these mojos for a while, or temporary, or losing their passion, which again indicates only a temporary experience, is because usually you're shifting templates at that time. Oh, I want to cry now because this is such truth. And when it's truth coming through spirit, I feel like I want to cry. What they're showing me is, and I have this the same way, I have to tell you, I have to put my hand on the heart, and this is full truth. The way I do things, the way I create, I've shared with you before, it's through life force mastery, and my life force will usually sustain me, whatever way it comes, okay, but it comes through my core first. But even that, right, even my life force mastery changes every once in a while. It mixes things up. I'm changed at every level. I'm new. My body is shifting. So when I'm in the shifting process is usually when I will experience like zero income physically, as money, sometimes even support. But it's usually like a passageway through which I know, and I call it the dark tunnel, and I need to move through that tunnel. That's my initiation. I need to move through that door for me to get to the next room, if you know what I mean. But the room is not linear. It's like opening all the doors so we can exist in our fully blown multidimensional consciousness, embodied, grounded on the planet, not going anywhere else unless you want to. Okay, but there is no escaping what is, and it's all here, and everywhere you are it can be created. That's the point. That's the gist of it. But they're showing me is that when we're in that crossing point, right, it's the shifting point, and this is when usually you're shifting templates, like a new level is being altered. And for me, I know it because the indication is physically being money or some sort of support stops at that level. It doesn't stop, but it's temporarily on hold because my energy goes elsewhere and builds a template. So my energy is not participating in the things I used to before. It doesn't mean, oh, now something is bad or you're doing it wrong. And all these teachings about doing things wrong and you're not manifesting properly, cut it off, cut it out. You know, sorry, but it's true, because you're just depriving yourself of knowing the higher wisdom and knowledge, which is pure logic that's simple. You don't have to like strain yourself, to understand why something not happening and want to make it happen. Every time you want to make things happen, it doesn't happen. So recently I had a few experiences where I completely let go of this control. I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I said, I don't know anything. I don't know where help will come from. And I don't want to create this because I don't want to create it through the mental, the will aspect. I dropped it for a while. It wasn't long until assistance came. And I don't want to give you the technicalities again, but it happened. And I'm assuring you that each time that we're guided, and it's initiation for us to understand something, and we're just holding this higher wisdom, which is the spirit perspective, right? We're in connection with it. We know that it's happening. Everything is happening for a reason. Even when it feels challenging and we're thinking, oh, we're doing something wrong, just, if you can do anything today for yourself, maybe after watching this video, forget saying the words, what if I'm doing something wrong? Every time, maybe shift them. What if everything I'm doing is always right? I just don't maybe always understand it, and I don't need to. I can let it go. This is how you start to release that control. This is how you start to surrender and go into this greater melting experience that is flow naturally being created in your body. So much information coming through now. Sorry, again, I'm unloading. But this is how I get restless when I get so much guidance and information, and if I don't share it, I don't pour it out in the video, I get like restless because it feels like I'm just building it within myself. I need to breathe it into the whole, right? I need to give a breath of life again and share in the in the ring of fire with the whole, with the group. So this is really important. So watch for this flow. Watch for when you're in this, the void. Usually this with me corresponds with the new moon periods. This is what I'm going through, the threshold. And recently it was over than 2 weeks when I had like zero. Right? Zero things coming in. And I was like, okay, I know it's just like always, but each time it will be felt as more intense, especially now we're in Venus retrograde, right? Which means it can be more like, oh, how deep can I go and still trust? That's the question. Okay, so the new body, how do we synthesize this? It's important to connect with the light body, because the light body will receive what's coming through the light aspects, the cosmic rays, the solar rays, all of it as one. And your own rays, you're also beaming out energy of light all the time. So it's kind of coming back to you through the aspect, if you look at everything through the multidimensional concept, there's aspects of you that are solar and multiversal and all of that. So they're coming to you, and are you receptive to receiving them as you? So people who would look at the cosmic rays or solar energies as something impactful in a way that's damaging, or ooh, it's heavy and intense, they don't view it as a part of the whole, which we all exist in. So it's kind of our own reverberations coming out and coming back. I've shared about this before. I made a video about, I think, the nature, about the Bringers of the Dawn, how we function. That's my video about Bringers of the Dawn. What's her purpose? I shared there about this. I made a video about urgent message of anchoring and guiding these energies through. What I'm constantly being shown is that the new wave of energy as people here on the planet are those who are going to guide others how to guide these cosmic energies through the bodies. This is my primary mission here. Is first I thought, right, I'm a spirit guide, I teach people how to connect with spirit. Yes, a great part of me also does that because I'm multidimensional. But primarily at this time, because this time is so important in that way, because we're evolving in terms of physicality. The bodies are evolving, becoming ascended bodies, new human bodies. I was shown this is my primary mission, is to teach people, to guide them how to guide these energies through their bodies when they're coming in, through the unity principle, through the unity consciousness, not concept, but pure law of creation. So you can get acquainted with all of that with great wisdom. That's all in my courses: Tantrika Life Force Mastery, Cosmic Orgasm, Cosmic Dance for the Galactic Human, Cosmic Union, all of that. So from Tantrika level, which is the self-mastery course, from there on, most of these courses are building upon Life Force Mastery and maintenance of the new body. And also there is one about multidimensional ascension that kind of fits into this as well. You can also get packages on my page, okay? So whenever you get a package, the energy decreases, like it's lowered for you. It kind of helps you to get more for, like, you know, lesser price exchange or energy exchange, which is normal how we receive, right? Yeah, so if you want to have support, as always, I do personal private sessions as well. I can assist you in this process. I love doing that. It's part of my spirit guidance, and it's a part that I love to do. Like, I love to do all that I do just as much. So it's not like I love this more, I love this aspect more. They're all one. I love doing them all. So yeah, it's important to understand the new body template, that you know, that you really feel. And like I've shared this with you before, like when you're in this interlocking point, when you can feel both of the old and the new body template. Oh, I didn't tell you my example. I started to, but then I forgot because I talk so fast. I run myself, right? One aspect for me is like, that was yesterday, right? I started telling you the story about the lake, and then I got lost somewhere in translation. It's like the next day, I was so super tired. This weather alteration happened and the energy wave was coming in. I was already integrating in the body. But at the same time, because of this newness, I had so much energy. I wanted to create, I wanted to change things. I wanted to clean my whole apartment and organize everything, which before was so static. And the funny thing that happened just that night on Sunday, we came home, there was a neighbor's cat. All of a sudden she was there, and she never follows us all the way to our floor, and she entered into our apartment and she didn't want to go out. I was like, get here, kitty, kitty, come on, come on, come on, go home. No. And then we kind of put her out. Then I checked if she's still there. She goes again. And each time she wants to go in our apartment. She made like circles there. And you know, cats, they also move energy. They're healers. They go to places that sometimes they help to, you know, like revitalize the stuck energy to make it unstuck. And after that, the next day, I just have this urge, I need to clean. And I'm telling you about this body, sometimes it will feel like they're going against each other, because at this new level, I was so hyper. I wanted to do everything. I had so much energy. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Before I was like, it's okay, whatever. I'm going to do it one day. But at the same level, because I was integrating this new way, and the body was like, in this dissolution stage, it was hard for me. Well, I did it anyway, which ended up again in my throat thingy, showing me up that you went a little overboard here. But either way, this is how we can feel this, and you can feel like it's a clash. At that point, we need to find an anchoring balance point. I'm still sometimes not best at that, because I will go into extremes, and instead of saying I'll do a little today, a little tomorrow, I want to do everything at once. That's the classic me, the impatient perfectionist that wants to get everything done, because I'm in the rush of energy, right? I don't want to follow that rush. But the body will say, yeah, but please also consider me. You know. So this is how you can feel both templates coexisting as one. So at these points, we need to find the integration method that works for both, that works for the hyper one, and that works for the one who's like, I'm tired, just give me a break, okay? I don't want to end up with a sore throat again. Even, I don't know, ill in bed because of that. So it's very important. These are not just like wishy-washy stories to tell. This is the literal process that we're now learning to master, and it's important because our bodies are important. The human creation is so amazing. It's so divine. It is important. Every single thing you put in your body, you think about, you manifest, it's so important. And again, the new, right? The new way of manifestation is not you doing it through the will. You create the template, you create enough light quotient to naturally sustain that, and then you have to let it go. You have to drop this control, because creating through this, the secret manifestation, vision boards, all of that, even in the Channel Joshua book material, they're saying no, forget about that. Just be aligned with yourself, your divinity, who you are. Always be authentic, be within your heart, feel yourself. Everything else will align. And for people whose minds are so active, that feels like wishy-washy, because they think, I'm not just going to be there standing and things will happen. It's not about being passive, but when you're being more silent, you slow down, you move more into the magnetic nature, which does slow you down. And you might say, well, you said October is about moving energy. Exactly. It's when you do that, the energy moves itself. That's kind of the paradox they're showing me, and it's a funny thing, but it's true. You will notice that yourself when you will have maybe for the first time experience with that. And maybe the second and the third, and it's just going to be like, random mode, right? Random pilot mode. Which means that things are being created differently now. You don't need so much passion, will to make things happen. That's what people are feeling. They're losing their mojo or their wills. It's not losing the mojo. It's not losing your passion for creativity. It's moving in this state of, it's more equalization. It's more like this equilibrium, more natural, more organic. And you don't need to feel this or fuel this will. Because sometimes we think it's passion, but it's will. We don't always discern between the two, and it's not the same thing. We think passion is something we're and we're willing it to happen. That's not really passion. Passion, when you move into your heart, will feel more steady, more magnetic. It's like, I'm so passionate about this. And then you feel its essence, right? It's kind of like you're creating a surplus of energy, and when it's a surplus of energy moves out, eventually comes back to you. This is the important wisdom they're sharing with me now to make it more integrated for all of us to experience and to feel, to know ourselves at this level. So when you have a feeling like I've lost the passion to do things or to have that creativity or that project, you haven't really lost the passion or mojo, but you're moving into what passion truly is. You're moving into what creation at the higher level truly is. It's more surrendered. You might consider it passive, because the mind will tell you that story, and don't listen to it. It's not true. It's willful in a different way, and it's like receptive. Even in the book, they say it's all about allowing. Allowance creates a natural state of receptivity, because in this old will kind of way, we're all about, I need to give, I need to give, I need to produce. It's like, at a certain point, you're not even a human anymore. You're a robot, right? And it does kind of creep me out a little bit, because I need to share this. There's an ad going on now on YouTube, and it just started playing for me yesterday. I don't know, maybe I'm behind this a little bit, but it was about artificial technology, and I've shared with you, it's happening. It is deeply happening. We're in the midst of it. And I think it's about a mobile phone. Sorry, I have iPhone, older version, because I don't want to go too new, because I also saw an ad for iPhone with retina recognition, and I don't know, and I said, ooh, that's AI. And of course, you know, all these brands they're not even competing with each other. It's all for a purpose like this. But there was this ad, I think, for Huawei. What's it called? I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's like an ad, like, oh, humans, yeah, you created me, blah, 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 this and that. And in the end, they say, oh, yours truly, AI, right? Artificial technology. They're not even hiding it. It's like, there I am, right? You can meet me there, and, you know, have your experience with me. And again, remember, please, that has nothing to do with technology in terms of when I say the inner state of our consciousness reflects our technology. But it also, in a way, is connected, because there's a lot of people who have gone into the extreme of separation, which is creating force of life within them artificially. So they don't actually create it within, but they need an artificial intelligence to kind of, you know, sustain lives for who they think they are, but they function at a level of separation. So you have to discern between true technology, that is heart-based technology that's now springing forth through so many of the channels that are here for this purpose, and AI, which is being presented to us like, oh, it's an easier way of life, so you can be, you know, in the ad they say, you were created me so you can be more human. Oh, really? Is that true, right? I really wonder, please consider about that. How does this fit into this topic? Of course it does, because I'm talking about life force technology, which builds a new you, a kind of body that will more be a vehicle of the soul than ever before. How does this relate to AI? Just contemplate on it a while, okay? Just think about it. So what I'm talking about is this natural organic pathway of ascension, which is organic. It's a community, communion, spirit, soul, me, as the receptor for that process, the creator of that process. Well, the AI is like, oh, let's make things easier, right? Let's forget about who you truly are. Let me be in the creation process for you. Let me make decisions for you so you can be more human. Oh, really? Is that true? Okay, just something on the dot, the cherry on top. Consider everything. Everything is important. It's all part of one process. None of the topics exclude each other, ever. It's all in the mix. The more wisdom you have, the more illumination comes through you, the more you can connect the dots of everything. That's basically what the illumined experience of the soul is. You just, you know, you're still you, you're still human. Like, I still do all the human things, but you do it in a different way, through different, more self-reflective consciousness, more observant consciousness, and you can easily connect the dots. And you can be present with everything that's taking place in a real, grounded way. And I'm losing my voice because of the throat thingy and talking here, the cold, to you. But I hope it's served you well. I think it was an important topic. If you have any more questions, you can connect with me on my Instagram page, and I invite you to become my Patreon supporter. For a tier, what's it called? $5 a month, you get a spirit channel guidance, and when there's enough of you, I will start doing videos as well there with more channel information. It's all in divine timing, so let's pile up that pile, right? To make it right in divine timing. Of course, much to come very soon. And not AI, but how to call it? OI? Organic intelligence. OI. I like it. I like it. I love you guys. Stay cool. Stay in your presence. Be in the flow of life. Allow things to happen. Be the magic that is a result of all that. And I'll see you soon. Enjoy. Take care.